Hi everyone, welcome to the AutoML training community meeting on 12th of January 2022. I hope everyone had a great holidays so we can start with the new year. Yeah, let's share my screen. Great. So I think first of all that we need to discuss about the 1.5 Kubeflow 1.5. So a couple of things that we need to update this issue that Kamanos mentioned to me yesterday. So basically, we should decide which version of KDIP and training operators we're going to use. I think for KDIP, we will release 0.13 version. We still don't make the first release candidate for us because we have a couple of pending PRs that we want to include. So the question is here, which PRs we want to work for before we can cut the first release candidate. From my point of view, only this one is require just approval, but maybe anything else that comes in your mind.
One small question. I think from Josh had started a team, the user, how was the name? A user group, and the Jan had expressed some interest on implementing trial logs, but I think this. Does anybody remember if we were planning to include this in January or if the timeline for that was later on?
Yeah, I think we discussed with Dejan that this will include the next release because it's required additional testing, and I'm not sure we can we can finalize before 2 weeks, right?
Okay. I've also created some issues to help with this effort, but just to help the Jan to get up to speed once he has the time, so we can further discuss some technical details.
Definitely, because this is the very interesting feature that you're working on. I think you already created a couple of issues here, right? So we decided to split this task across multiple issues, right? So basically, I don't think Dejan is here right now, but from my point of view, we should include this in the next release.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, because in addition to logs, we also want to have a separate page for overview, as you mentioned here, I think, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's this one. Yeah, this is the main issue that you created. So we probably should create a separate issue for overview details, YAMLs to just split this to the multiple PRs to make it easier to review, right?
Yes, and I want to coordinate with the Jan. I can even help and at least create the initial design, like this is the page, and only include like a YAML tab, and we can just keep on adding items one by one there.
Yeah, that would be great, I think. Just a small PR with a distinct page for each trial and just with the YAML tab there.
Yeah, to avoid just having a huge PR with all of the tabs and the whole page.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so speaking about the release, are there any concerns about the release version for KDIP, at least for KDIP, right? So what else do we want to finalize before making the first release candidate for KDIP? Is there any pending PRs?
We don't have any blockers as such, right?
Yeah. I think as I mentioned before, only this one because we want to update the Angular version. But overall, it is fine. Because cameras, by the way, in the Kubeflow 1.5, the central dashboard also will use the Angular version 12.
The central dashboard is currently with Polymer. It's not with Angular.
Oh, okay, yeah. I see. What about like other components and like common libraries that we're using for other like components like notebooks? Okay, Kserve.
So for all the other web apps, we're using Angular. So yeah, Angular 12. Only pipelines is doing what is it? React.
Okay.
Let me think something. Oh yeah, the fonts are definitely just because I saw that over there. The question was whether on we should merge the pull request for Angular 12 there. This is why you were evaluating the versions.
Yeah, if you remember, like we discussed this in November about the version of npm and Node, and eventually like updating the Angular version to 12. So from my understanding from your discussion with, I think, Seonjin, I'm not sure he's here right now, but we're not going to update Node and npm version right now. Right.
I'm bringing the discussion back to my mental cast.
Okay.
So we will. I think that we will do a small bump, or let me check. Oh no, we won't. We will stick to the same versions that we had, but we just mentioned explicitly which versions they are, and we've set up a plan of once we need to. There's no need to update Node and npm right now, but we have a plan of once there are some issues with npm right now in Angular 12 that we're waiting for them to be resolved, and once they are resolved, we will do another pass on all of the apps and update it. But there's no need to do that now, so we can just update to Angular 12, and we should be good to go for this PR.
Yeah, exactly. Because once we're updating the npm to like to the version 7, it will also like require package.log regeneration, right? Because they have some modification there, as I remember.
Yep.
Yeah, sounds good. I think one concern here is just that I just pointed that this PR includes some of the binaries here, like the fonts, and he said that we probably don't really use them. And the problem is like each these fonts automatically generated by npm install. So maybe we can just maybe we can include them just in the git ignore if we're not using them, right?
Very good point. I'll comment that in the PR. I missed it. So just for a little bit context, these fonts live in the common library. So once we build the app, it just copies the fonts from the common library Node module to the fonts page of the app. But as you mentioned, ideally we should have a git ignore to just ignore the fonts there, since we only want them to live in the library.
Mm-hmm. So because we won't get a problem, right, when the fonts need to be located in the KDP, like in the front end repository while we're building the image, right? Because we're using the fonts from the Kubeflow, like the common library. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's just I can just comment on the issue here to just put them in the ignore, because we don't really need this fonts folder at all, from my understanding, right?
Completely agree. Sure.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Other PRs. So tutorial. This one. Yeah, we have one PR about JSON format logs in file matrix collector, which is very interesting to support JSON format in our logs. So basically, like our users, they do not require to specify their regular expression if they want to parsing the logs in this format. Let me show you, like just in the JSON format. This requires additional like review from our side. So I don't know, John, do we want to include this PR in the release if we have enough time to review them, this PR?
Is it mandatory here?
No, just an additional feature.
Yeah. Yeah, it won't. Anyways, the scope is limited, right? So I think either way, I think it is not bad. it would not break anything major. So we can try getting it.
Yeah, it's fine. Let's. So, Kamaros, from my understanding, the first release candidate, like the feature freeze, will be in 2 weeks, right? So it's January 25th, or what date?
So yes, since at least for notebooks and the pipelines folks, we have asked for some delay. So I think it's gonna be 2 weeks, January. Let me check when is the community meeting. Give me just 1 minute to check. Yeah, the community meeting is on Tuesday, so we'll start on let's say Wednesday 26th, as you mentioned, after the community meeting, the feature freeze.
Okay. In that case, I would suggest. Yeah, go ahead.
A small note, just to reiterate on the feature freeze. Keep in mind that feature freeze, the initial concept that we had around feature freeze is you can still, once we have a feature freeze, pick a couple of some pull requests that are already open and you're still reviewing them and merge them during the feature freeze. The concept is don't start a new review of a PR during the feature freeze that adds a huge feature. It's okay to finalize a review of an existing feature during the feature freeze period, but it's about not start reviewing newer features when we have feature freeze. So even if you have a huge feature that you're reviewing and the review is not complete when feature freeze starts, it's okay to just finalize the review during the feature freeze period.
Yeah, sure. I remember like this workflow, and you have the feature freeze phase in 1 week, right? So till 28th or 2 weeks.
It's still 2 weeks, and we're aiming to reduce the manifest testing phase.
Okay, and the end of feature freeze is February 4th, or
give me a minute. The end of feature freeze.
I think February 9th.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we will. Okay, sounds good. In that case, so by the way, when you're planning to make the first release candidate for manifest, in which date? In January 26th, right?
Yes, once the feature freeze starts.
Okay, so yeah, because of that, we should probably make the new release candidate for KDIP by that time and update the manifest by that time, right?
That would be ideal.
Yeah. So I would suggest in that case, probably just make the first release candidate on Friday, maybe January 21st. Then we can easily update the manifest before the first feature freeze date, right?
Small comment, not too much related for the work you're doing, but it's for manifest, I'm going to push a pull request in the manifest repo that it's essentially a simple bash script that takes the manifest from the KTIP repo and creates a new branch in the manifest repo so that it's going to be easier for release team members to just run the script and take the manifest from AutoML and create a pull request. So I might need some help on the PR for one of you guys to double check that, yeah, these are the manifests, the files are copied correctly, etc.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. Go ahead.
Can you I didn't catch that. So what is the process there?
So for Kubeflow manifest, let's say that you have in AutoML, you have RC0 and you want to bump the manifest to RC1.
Yeah.
Instead of someone having to just copy the manifest, check out the KTIP repo locally, copy the files over to the manifest repo locally, and then create a pull request, I want to create a simple bash script in the manifest repo so that someone can locally run the script to copy the file from KTIP and have them in their local manifest repo to easily submit a pull request.
I see. Got it. Thank you.
It's mostly for offline work to create a PR. It won't be any CI/CD or anything. Just and I want your help to ensure that, yeah, these are all the files that we copy. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to just do it automatically and have the script. In the future, we can update the CI to make it automatically without manually running. Okay, so January 21st, John, does it sound good to you, like this date for our first release cut?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, then go ahead.
And also regarding the different tabs for logs, so like, is there way to export the logs from the UI? It will be good, I think.
Yeah, you mean like downloading the logs after we printing them, right?
No, we can download the logs directly from the UI. So if anybody wants to see them, we could like just send them the.
Yeah, maybe the next step it can be the good feature to see, just because I remember like some of asking to downloading all the hyperparameters in the CSV format, similar to just not like manually copying them from the UI if they have like a couple of thousands of hyperparameters. Yeah, maybe it's a good thing to work on after we implementing this feature. Okay, so and since we're like speaking about like, the release regarding to training side, are we planning to make the 1.4 for Kubeflow 1.5?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so do we have any pending PRs there?
So there, we have to double check, but again, we are actually ready for cutting the RC there, right? So I'll double check once again with Terry and Gauche.
Yeah, because we probably should also like comment in this issue the version that we're going to use for training operator. Thank you for that. Yeah, because I'm not sure about the pending PRs. Let's ping them in Slack. So just ask about them, because I remember like we working on MPI integration, and I'm not sure if we finished the V2 version of controller. Do you have any insights about this, Jono, or we should better ask them?
Regarding the MPI V2.
Yeah.
So I don't think we are planning this release, right? So it is just V1 which just got merged, and V2, I don't think it is actually will be part of this.
Okay. Yeah, and some unit testing there. Sounds good. So any questions about the release? What else do we want to do before feature freeze?
So one question, at least from the release team's point of view. So from my current understanding, AutoML is okay with the current proposed timeline on having feature freeze on 26th, and there will be an RC just a little bit before the feature freeze for AutoML. And for training, we still need to get feedback from the work group's leads on. We know that there will be on 1.4 release, but we need to double check that the timeline of when will the first candidate be created and what pending PRs will be, right?
I think January 26th is fine for us, right, Jonah? We just if some of the PRs cannot be finished, we just postpone them on the next release. Okay. Because in general, upstream code is working fine, so we don't need to do any additional to add additional time to the feature freeze.
Great. So I'll comment in the tracking issue at the top that we will postpone the release from the current feedback we have, and when you have the time, just add a comment as well for AutoML to expose this information as we just mentioned, so that everyone's in sync.
Yeah, sure. And once the training like leads the answer, they just we get the feedback from them. I will also like comment about the training side. But I'm pretty sure we're not going to like postpone the January 26th. As I mentioned like yesterday.
Sounds good.
Okay. So the logs, yes, I think unfortunately we don't have Dijan here today. So maybe we should speak about this in the next meeting if he can join, because I want to speak about the design part here. Do we want to like have a similar tabs as we have for trials? Sorry, for suggestion. Yeah, because I'm not sure. Do we have the page? Some information here. Let me see. I don't think it's here. Yeah, so I just want to think about a design for trials, but maybe we can discuss about it next time. Will it be like similar to this? Do we want to have any plots in the top in the future, or yeah, we'll see. Because my idea here, just make it similar, right? Just have a trial plot with the metrics and the tabs at the bottom.
Just a small comment, but yeah, we can discuss in the next meeting with Dejan as well. We can follow the exact same pattern indeed, and instead of that graph for experiments, we have a graph for trials when we hover over an experiment, so we can use that graph over there. And at least for me, in the next meeting, the technical discussion I want to have is regarding how can we fetch logs from different type of workers and see how we can start organizing the work, because I imagine there will be a different logic to fetch logs from a Kubernetes job than what we do for a TF job or an Argo workflow. So let's see what makes sense. Maybe it makes sense to just track to gather logs from Kubernetes jobs in the beginning, and then go to TF jobs, and then to pipelines, etc.
Yeah, I think we can follow the similar pattern for metrics collector. I think John just mentioned this a couple of months ago. Because for metrics collector, we have the APIs to detect the primary pod, and we're using like labels and containers. And metrics collector understands like which kind of the container it needs to wrap. So we can maybe use a similar API for logs to retrieve the logs from the worker. I understand that for some cases the logs we require to get the logs not from the worker, from the from other parts of the TF job, for example. But this is another story. So maybe as a first iteration, we can only obtain the logs from the primary container.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I'll write down to take a look at the metrics collector for Kati to have some more context.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Yeah, I believe we have some like design patterns here. If you let me post this in the doc. So if you're interested, you can take a look at which API we have in the metrics collector.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks.
Yeah, and I think also trial. Let me put the link here.
Oh, and one question, since we just saw, I think wasn't the metrics collector logic for detecting which is the primary container, etc., also blocks us from using the sidecars in the workloads, or was this a separate discussion? And I'm mixing the two.
What do you mean by sidecar workloads?
If I don't remember if this Istio sidecars were blocking the metrics collector from detecting which is the primary container, or is it unrelated?
Yeah, I think with Istio it was a problem with the proxy, right? It was another story, right?
Okay.
Yeah, because the thing is, like Istio, they're also using sidecars, and they're also using the injecting container in the running pod. So and they're using mutation webhook, Kubernetes mutation webhook. So for metrics collector, we're using the similar technology. So we're also using mutation webhook to inject the container in the running pod. But like as I mentioned before, we need to know like which pod needs to be injected, because as you mentioned, like TF job can have like multiple pods, and we need to inject metrics collector only on the worker pod. Sorry, only on the master pod. And we have like some of the API to define to let matrix collector know like which kind of the what pod is like is primary. Yeah, I think this.
So the matrix collector is one step above the containers. Initially it cares about the pod and which pod it should listen for logs, not at the container level. Okay.
Yeah.
So
because,
from the operator, actually, like from the operator itself, some flags are set based on the framework. Say, for example, in the TF operator, if there's a chief pod, then that is actually marked as primary, or if there are just worker pod, then worker 0 is marked as primary, etc. So when like in case of Kubeflow operators, the tag is actually appropriately set based on the framework, and that is basically used by Katib to figure out which is
label, you mean, right?
Yeah, label.
Yeah, label.
Okay, that's pretty nice context. Thanks.
So yeah, I was just commenting, if you're interested, you can just take a look at these APIs, because in experiment user in experiment API, we have trial template, and user defined some parameters in the trial template for matrix collector, basically. Like the primary pod labels, the primary container name, the success condition, all this information is necessary for matrix collector also. So yeah, here you can take a look in this like information.
Will do.
Okay. Yeah, other than that, so one thing about the airbag. So the thing is, like, we have an issue that we probably should changing our airbag to have only limited resources for controller, because right now we have some unnecessary resources, and this is not good, to be honest. And we should probably understand like which kind of permission we need to provide to our controller. I think we created, like, some of from the community members, they created PRs, this PR. This require additional research, because it's not very like straightforward which kind of the permission controller needs. For example, like for early stopping, our controller creates the roles and service account, and this is not very straightforward from the first look. So I don't know, like, how we should definitely this will be included in the next release, but the thing is how we should iterate on this issue. Should we try to ask this guy to collect all of the necessary resources, or what do you think?
I think other than doing like basically, like, I think we have to remove and figure out whether it would be very difficult to understand which are really required, right?
Nah, yeah, I mean, it requires some research there, right? in the controller side.
It's not straightforward, actually, like, because it would not be that easy to directly figure out which are the ones which are used. But
yeah, that's
from
true.
what, it would be really tricky. But again, yeah, I think we have to, it's just a matter of time. Go one
maybe
by
we
one
can,
and,
I don't know, maybe we can create a Google Doc with all of the resources there. So maybe let me actually create a doc and maybe ask him to put the necessary resources, and maybe just try to iterate on this. Yeah, because from the first look, I can't say like which kind of the verbs we need to specify for each resource. Any other like solutions? I don't know how we can iterate on this process.
yeah, I think it's not sure whether there is any other way. We have to just go through the code one by one and then see how things are being used. So it will be really time consuming.
Okay, I will ask like him to just update the doc with the necessary sources and why we need to add or delete them. Okay, wait, let me put it here. Any other like comments, questions that we have for KDIP side? Sounds good. And what about like the training? So other than the release, do you have anything else? Any pending things? I'm not sure we have anyone from the training side other than John or me today.
So so with the I will ask Terry and Gaucher regarding like we were actually ready to have the RC release cut, right? So other than that, I don't see any other issues. But again, the MPI V2 operator, I don't see it coming in this one. But I'll just once again confirm that as well.
Sounds good. Any other questions, comments, or we can wrap up?
So like unrelated question, not to the meeting. So does the AutoML and training working group have right access to the repos that they own?
Yeah, we have right access because we definitely should make the release by ourselves, like making the branches. The problem is like right before the holidays, I asked like James to give me the admin permission. So admin permission is all like we cannot give the admin permission for the community. And if you, for example, we require like admin permission to set up the Docker Hub credentials to automate our container builds, because right now in KDIP we automatically pushing all of the images to our registry after each commit. So it was I think we have done this in December. So we have the workflow to publish the images here. I think this one, but the right permission, yes, we have, and I think the right permission should be okay for the working group leads. So from the like discussion that we had yesterday, I think what like the steering committee require like approval from the notebook working group, right? Because yesterday it was a discussion, you weren't here, but it was a discussion. Do we need to give like the notebook leads access to the Kubeflow repo, right? Access to the Kubeflow repo. And right now only you have this access.
They had this discussion. Yeah, I missed the meeting yesterday. Around right permissions in the Kubeflow repo to cut tags, etc. Right?
Yep.
Oh, thanks for the heads up. I need to follow up on that. And actually, there was a reply from the PSG. Okay, good to hear. I'll definitely take a look.
Yeah, because from my understanding, like steering committee does not like they give us the right permission, but not admin permission.
Yeah. So like. Yeah, I wanted the right permission to the examples repo so that I can create branches. I'm just a approver, so that I cannot create branches. So like I'm making a PR to like create a team. So like, is there any other way instead of creating a team that I can get right access to the repo, or a team is necessary?
Yeah, I think you should create a team there. Do we have a team for examples, by the way? So examples. Yeah, you probably should create examples repo. Yeah, I mean, you can ask like Jan or James about it. because I'm not sure what will be like the process, for example, since we don't have the working group. Can you just create a team, like for example, like Kubeflow examples, and add yourself to this team? Yeah, because as I can see, we have the release team, which has like examples, write access, and I have CI bots team. Okay. Yeah, try to ask Jan and James about it.
Yeah. Thanks. And
yeah, because without this, I'm not sure we can set up the GitHub actions to make this automatically. But still, if you don't have the right access, you can't trigger the actions. You can do this. You can do like the workaround with the PRs. Like I think what Notebooks working group is doing, right? So you basically creating the PR to trigger the CI.
yeah. So
anyway,
yeah. So for every PR that I create, I need like LGTM from some other member, which is like unnecessary, and also don't get much like creating branches and everything.
Yeah, maybe you should try to find like some people who just want to work on the examples as well, and because you cannot like LGTM your own PRs. But okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, sounds good. Then thank you everyone for joining today. See you again in a couple of weeks, and have a good rest of the week. Bye, guys.
Have a nice day. Bye.